These are our top 10 best movies of 2022. Jon and I are here to talk about what we loved this year, what stood out to us. Honestly, I think this is a really good year for film. I thought this was a great year for movies. I had a blast. So many to stand out that this list I've had to change several times, go back and forth on. Now that I think this is the most concise. I don't know. I feel confident in this list, so let's get into it. You're number 10, man.
Yeah, let's get into it. Day Shift was a movie that I had no idea about, and for a Netflix movie, it just kind of blew me away. I was very surprised. I mean, the cinematography in it was going absolutely bananas. Even though it may have a rocky ending, that movie is just an action-packed, fun time, just a hangout movie, just to like really throw on, and you can just have a fun time with it. Get on your Netflix.
Yeah, sometimes you don't expect that. Day Shift will be an honorable mention for me. It's not on my list, but like an honorable mention because you expect Netflix movies to not deliver.
Yeah,
sometimes they really do. So that's awesome. For me, my number 10 is a movie that I think it needs to be on this list because I never watched the first movie before even seeing this one. I actually went back and watched the first one after seeing the sequel. I was so impressed with what this movie was able to do and making me attached to the characters in the world. And that is Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick, I had not seen the first movie before watching it. And I was fully invested in this film like I had been there, to see the first one. I thought that was really impressive for a sequel to do that. And it's what a lot of legacy sequels fail to do. And Top Gun Maverick not only was able to make me a fan of this movie and this series, this one is leaps and bounds above the first one and steps it up in so many ways. Going back and watching it after seeing it, I was like, wow. This is just a damn good sequel, and it elevates the characters in so many interesting, unique ways. They could have phoned it in with this movie. They really could have. They could have just made a really quick, easy-to-make, CGI budget-filled, plain movie where Tom Cruise just acts cool and not his age. But no, they actually make his age a point of the film, and they make it a character arc. It just made me care about everyone involved, and not only that, the action blew me away. The sequences were so well handled, so well crafted. We need more practical action like this. Top Gun Maverick is a staple in that. It's got to be number 10.
Number 9 is actually Avatar: Way of Water.
Oh, nice.
I was going into that movie with lukewarm expectations. I'm glad I came out different and actually enjoyed that movie. It was a lot to take in, so the review was a little rough in my opinion, but it was just so much to take in. But I thought it was amazing.
My number 9, this is another big surprise for me, and I'm really mad at myself for having not checked it out sooner, and I'm also frustrated that I didn't get to see its follow-up, which is Pearl. I really enjoyed X. X was a slasher film that just took it back to simplistic slashers. You get what you're coming in for. You want to see a great slasher that's just simplistic in its execution. It knows what it is. Like Day Shift, it knows exactly what it wants to be, and does everything in its power to make that the best execution of what it wants to be. It goes back to 70s slasher horror, and more than just the way the plot moves, but also the way it's filmed, down to how it looks. The very identity of the film's aesthetic is bathed in 70s style, and I love that, and they even add a little bit of film grain to it. So there's just a lot about this movie I liked. It was very simplistic in its execution, but I thought that's why it really worked, and I really dug this movie. It was a great surprise of the year. X was awesome.
It was actually one of those movies that there's very few movies I just did not see that I still need to see though.
You did not see X?
No,
that's right.
No,
what
yeah.
We didn't watch it together.
No,
yeah,
not.
no. Oh my god.
Number 8, The Menu.
Hey,
Yeah,
yes.
you could not go wrong with a delicious meal like that one. I did not know anything going into this movie, and I kind of had like a theory what was going to happen, but I'm really glad the movie took a whole different way, and I'm really glad it wasn't that. And The Menu kind of just blew me away. I really dug the passion that movie brought.
For my number 8, it was another surprise of the year. What I really loved about my number 8 choice, I'm just going to say it, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nicolas Cage. This movie was everything I wanted it to be. From the trailer, I knew I just wanted to see a movie where Nicolas Cage was having a blast with his performance. And I love the fact that Nicolas Cage in this movie was able to be so self-aware, but it never felt like the movie was wanting to talk down to Nicolas Cage. It did a parody in a respectful way that still felt like hilarious parody where you could laugh at a character or laugh at the persona of someone, but it didn't feel distasteful, it didn't feel disrespectful, and I did it in such a way of well-balanced humor. And I also thought Pedro Pascal was a great companion piece to Nicolas Cage, and he stood out almost just as much as Cage. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I thought he did so well. And I just really loved the Married Boy Master Talent. I appreciate kicking my feet back and just laughing at this movie. I watched it twice this year, and I had a blast with it. It was hilarious. And I want more comedies like this, a little sub-genre of celebrities just making fun of themselves, kind of like, you know, Married Boy Master Talent. Like, I mean, we've gotten a few movies like that before, but I want more now. This movie made me crave it, so yeah. What about you?
Number 7, Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick was a very fun action movie, and I absolutely love Tom Cruise. You could tell he was having a blast, and all the cast. You just gotta give it to the cast for actually going all the extra steps to get the flight footage. That is amazing, and such dedication.
It's mind-blowing.
I loved it.
My number 7 is another T title. It is Terrifier 2. Terrifier 2, I have to give credit to this movie because what I love about it and why it's on my top 10 list specifically is that this type of horror is not my kind of horror. It's not the reason I watch horror films, but when you can execute a gore fest in a way that's so engaging, when you just have a drive, a dedication to make something that is inspiring and just awesome in terms of a horror genre like Terrifier 2. Art the Clown is now a staple in the slasher genre, and we're going to get a Terrifier 3. I think that's awesome, and it goes to show how much Damien Leone and the cast and the crew just have so much passion and drive to bring people like me who aren't, you know, gore, huge, like, I'm not afraid of gore. It doesn't ruin movies for me, but again, like I said, this is a tour I don't look for. To make someone like me be so engaged with this franchise specifically and can't wait to see more, that makes me really excited. That makes me so happy, and I'm excited to see Terrifier 3. That's why Terrifier 2 is on here. Performances across the board were great. And yeah, no, this movie is awesome. Terrifier 2, great slasher horror, and it is one of those movies that is now shifting into that independent horror space where we can, you know, get more staples like Michael Myers, born in today's, you know, year. If you have not seen it yet, because it's just, this movie deserves all the support.
Number 6, Terrifier 2.
Hey.
No, I absolutely love Terrifier, and then Terrifier 2. I absolutely love what they did. I am a big gore fan, and I've been waiting for a slasher icon to appear, and I feel like we haven't gotten one in years, and I found that with Art the Clown. I kind of fell in love with him. He's a kind of a goober.
Yeah. He's a silly goose.
He's a silly goose, just having a silly time. That's it.
My number 6 is Avatar: The Way of Water. Avatar: The Way of Water is a movie that I didn't have a lot of hype and attachment for it going in. I didn't expect this movie to hit me as much as it did. Going in, I just thought it was going to be maybe a sequel to the first Avatar. Sure, a sequel came out. But I'm so glad that the wait was worth it. Well, I think there are elements of this movie that do feel a bit like, alright, here's Avatar 2, let's retread certain plot threads. I do think they do elevate the emotional storytelling, and I do think they do a great job at expanding on the family and the dynamics of the Na'vi and the world around us. And I thought the world building in this movie was so well handled, and there's so many great moments of visual storytelling alone, no dialogue, where you get so much. You see a simplistic image, but you get so much within that frame that it tells you a full story. And I really appreciate that. Every shot in this movie was like that. I saw this movie twice, loved it even more the second time.
Number 5, we got Bullet Train.
Hey, cool, Bullet Train. All right, I didn't
Yes.
expect you to throw it on there. Cool.
Wait, you did not expect me to throw Bullet Train on
I didn't,
there.
no, honestly.
That movie was just a very fun time.
Fair.
I love the story. I love how they introduced characters. I love how they played with neon lights, the lighting, the lighting, introduction of the characters, and some of the characters I just fell in love with. I mean, just don't be a diesel, watch it.
Don't be a diesel now. I can't do an accent. I'm sorry, y'all. At number 5, I saw this movie 4 times in theaters, and Jordan Peele directs like no other, and that is Nope. Nope is a film that I think it just gets better every time I watch it, and it's one of those movies that applies a new lens on the alien concept, and I really appreciated that this movie went beyond just being an alien story, and it plays with different themes on humanity, how we look at spectacle, and what that all entails, and how we get kind of a weird, unhealthy obsession about spectacle. Appreciated that element of it, that angle of it. And that is something that makes this movie stand out among the other Jordan Peele films. I'm not saying it's my favorite. I still think that's Get Out, but I think Nope is another prime example of why Jordan Peele is one of the greatest horror film directors working to date, and I can't wait to see what he does next. What about you, man?
Number 4, The Black Phone. Man, I love Ethan Hawke playing as a villain. I just love how realistic this movie felt. When a movie is real and it almost is getting under my skin and I'm getting a little anxious of how real it is, I love a movie when they can do that. Because very few movies get me like that, and this one did, and so I had to throw it on the list.
Coming in at number 4, this movie was, again, another surprise. I didn't do any looking into it going in, and the best way to watch this film, the best way to watch it is by not watching any marketing. Don't ask anyone about it. If someone tells you to watch Barbarian, you watch that movie blindly, and you watch it without knowing anything, and you will have a great horror experience, and in my opinion, the best horror experience of 2022. This is the best horror movie that I think has come out this year. I think Barbarian is just, there's a rawness to this movie. There's something about it that just gets under my skin. Not only is it a great, I think, thriller in terms of just building suspense among characters and how they develop, but also there's just a way this movie jumps genres in a way that any other movie you watch could probably feel very jarring, but the way this movie pulls it off is so damn inspiring and so well executed. There's like 3 different horror movies in Barbarian that are all excellent. So you just kind of get 3 great movies in one really nice, tightly paced film. I loved Barbarian. I almost forgot it on this list for some reason. But yeah, Barbarian was freaking amazing. Loved it.
My number 3 is a movie that I think the superhero genre needs to do more of. It's a movie that really took a risk, in my opinion. It's The Batman. The Batman. Yes. The Batman just... It is art. It is art. Batman being dark, being gritty, following along a lot with Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne, very young into this, is also embodying Batman. It was such a beautiful blend. It was the most different superhero movie I think we got out of this year. It did not follow along with any real formulas. It was just its own independent film, and I cannot wait to see a sequel.
Same. I'm so freaking hyped. And I'm so mad that we didn't get a chance to review the Batman. It was just, I was in college at the time, and then we hadn't been reviewing together yet. So it was like, dang it, we just missed it by a hair, but that movie deserves its own review. My number 3 is The Menu. This is another movie that was just such a damn good surprise. The Menu is a film that you have to watch. Yeah, it's just one of those movies I get so excited telling anyone about. The Menu is a movie I will take to a party, or I will... actually, we don't take movies to parties anymore because we're streaming. Menu is a movie that, like, when you have a bunch of friends over, if you're just hanging out, you say, no, put this on. It is the best thriller we've gotten all year. I loved every single element of The Menu. It was tightly paced. It was well executed. It was a thriller I'd never seen before, set in a culinary setting and making the idea of food and the themes about, I think, cooking, the way humans talk about stuff, not just, from a, I think, food perspective, but a form of art. I really enjoyed the little deeper themes in this movie about art and the way we view that, and how, even in my head, my subjective way, I saw, like, the way The Menu criticized food criticism made me think about how people perceive movies and how they talk about that. And I think there's this very cool way you can kind of engage with this film on deeper levels than just being an intense, nice one-location setting. There's so many different ways you can enjoy this film, from being a thriller, from being a character study on Ralph Fiennes as one of the greatest performances this year. He's such a good villain as the chef in this movie. Yes, chef. The Menu was awesome. Really dug it. Go check that out. Yeah, The Menu was my number 3. What about you, man? What's your number 2?
My number 2 is The Northman.
Hey!
Yes,
nice.
The Northman is just an epic revenge tale. Such a simplistic idea, but the way they executed it blew me away, especially taking place in such a brutal era of time, and then mixing in with all the mythology and little, I guess, mythical, spiritual side of those mythologies. The Northman just blew me away.
The Northman was fantastic. That is a movie that I think, yeah, no, I agree. Mind-blowing film. My number 2, this movie, by a hair. Just by a hair. Almost made my number 1. It was so close. There's just one more thing that came out that I liked a little more. This movie was just so close to make my number 1, but it just missed it by a hair, and that is The Batman. I hated that we didn't get to review this, like I said before, because The Batman is my second favorite superhero, just behind Spider-Man. Those are my top 2. I've always loved the character of Batman. I've loved him since I was a child. I've waited for a Batman movie like this since I could conceive what Batman is. Like, not exactly this execution, of course, because Matt Reeves is a genius, but the fact that I think the Batman just does everything, and not only giving us a film that feels fresh and unique in its execution of being a dark and gritty world-building movie that doesn't want to build a franchise but build its own little character piece about Bruce Wayne and his psychotic mentality about being Batman. I've always wanted to see that, and this film goes above and beyond, not just talk about it in one scene. Like a lot of Batman movies, I think, try to tackle the theme of, you know, who Batman is as a hero, and they do it to a degree, but sometimes I feel like the goal of making a great action movie, it gets beyond tackling the inner themes of Batman that this movie is able to do. What I love about this film is that it brought us a Bruce Wayne and a Batman that felt like the most authentic we've seen on screen for me. Robert Pattinson is my favorite Batman so far. This is my favorite Batman movie, period. The Dark Knight inspired me to love film, and it gave me that lens into looking into movies that I now, you know, like The Dark Knight is that first movie that made me see films differently and see them as an art form that is created by people and, you know, takes passion and drive and, you know, dedication. And I think The Batman is the most authentic Batman movie we've gotten on screen. It is my favorite Batman movie. I can go on and on about this film. It deserves its own review. It'll happen one day, but I just love this film. Almost made my number one of the year. I love the world, I love the tone, I love the atmosphere, I loved Gotham. Everything about it worked for me. Great character study on Batman as a character and Bruce Wayne. There's just one more movie that came out that genuinely I hadn't seen nothing else like it before, and I'll get into that in just a second, but what about you, man? Let's hear it. What's your favorite of the year?
My favorite of the year is a movie that just kept on giving and giving and giving and tugged at all the heartstrings and has everything everywhere all at once.
Hey, great minds think alike. Everything everywhere all at once is mine too.
Let's go.
Yes. I didn't expect that. I thought that would be like maybe your number 10 or something.
No. Number one.
Wow.
This movie just, like I said, it just kept on giving and giving.
It does.
And it gets wacky. It makes you tear up. It's everything.
It's everything everywhere all at once.
Yes.
No, I don't care if it's a pun. What this movie does so well, I think, is it's able to give you so much character, so much depth, so much emotion. Even though it traverses like a multiverse, it has a multiverse story. Well, it's also a great fighting movie. It's also a great action film. It's also a great drama about a mother who's just feeling regret and shame about the life she's living. And I think, honestly, this is a film. I watched it alone in theaters myself. I fucking lost it. You go ahead. I'm sorry. You were talking about it. You go.
It hits you so deep. It's a deep movie. It's a fun movie. It's just movies you can just have fun and relax, but it's also a movie that I feel like everyone can relate to, and it tugs at you. It's just, I feel like it's one of those very few movies that actually got a little tear out of me.
You're hard to cry at movies. It's hard to make
very,
me cry.
very
Right?
hard. And that movie just tugged at the right string. I was like, okay.
I was a sobbing mess during this movie. Everything Everywhere All at Once does, in my mind, what Barbarian was able to do. Hear me out. Not the same movie at all. Not at all. But what I mean is that Barbarian's able to deliver several different kind of horror movies in one package and have it not feel sloppy. Everything Everywhere All at Once is able to deliver a bunch of different genres into one film without it feeling sloppy, and that goes to the fact that at its center it has a relatable story that's about a character that I think if you just have regrets in your life that you want to maybe turn the dial back and change, you will relate to her. You will relate to this movie in that way. The laundry scene, when we're talking about doing laundry and taxes, is one of the most heartbreaking, emotionally wrenching moments in a movie that I've ever seen, and it chokes me up thinking about it. This is just a great film that you're able to have fun with. It's a great fighting movie. It's a great action movie. It's a great drama. It's a great, sometimes horror movie at times, a little scary and weird at times. It's kind of head trippy. It's a psychedelic movie. There's so many different elements of this film that work, and it could have easily not. I genuinely, when I watch it, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a film that I've never seen anything like it.
It just
in
keeps
my life.
giving.
Like, and I'm not exaggerating. I've never seen a movie made like that. And it was just, I had to be number one. It had to be number one. And this is one of the greatest films I've ever made. Straight up. I just loved everything about it. You saw how You saw my review, how crazy it was. I wish we got to review it together.
Yes.
But I'm glad you got to watch it too. And I'm glad it was your number one. I didn't expect that.
Yeah. It's a brilliant movie that was just beautifully mashed together and just very carefully thought.
Hell yeah. Yeah, well, that's it. We did it. 2023 is over. This is our first top 10 list we've done, so I kind of got lost at some points.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the new year has to bring.
Guys, 2022, I just want to say thank you for those who have watched these videos. We definitely plan to do a lot more in 2023. We've got a lot coming for this channel. I'm excited. I'm hyped. 2022 is an awesome year for movies. Thank you so much for watching, those who have. Like, subscribe if you feel like it. I'll see you next year.